Here's the inner cowl panel. I'm getting ready to weld it back on. But before I did, I went ahead and made some of these reinforcing strips just using 20 gauge sheet metal. And this cowl piece is actually made out of 20 gauge, so it effectively doubles up the thickness. I apologize for the dogs barking. I hope you can hear me. But pretty much all the areas, I went ahead and fabricated these reinforcing strips and welded them on. And because you can see some areas right like in there got pretty torn up as I was drilling them out. So I thought it would help a little bit to add some reinforcement to this. But anyway, I'm about to get this piece welded back on and get the driver's side of the truck put back together. Okay, I've got this outer cowl panel, getting it welded back on. I've got most of the rosettes done across the top along this flange. And right now I'm working on right here in front of the firewall. You can see the wiring harness there. There's the wiper motor, just so you have a reference to the location. And you can see I used, again, my self-tapping sheet metal screws to cram the panel up against the firewall of the truck. And I wanted to point out one thing, and keep in mind where those self-tapping screws are. Get my flashlight here. You can see the head of my screws in there. Up in that area you have this kind of fiber, you can see some right there, that fiber heat insulation, sound insulation. I've removed it from right there, but that's a fire hazard. So if you start welding on the front side, remember your the heat index, the heat affected zone, is going to travel through that panel, and it can and will set that sound deadening material on fire. And the last thing you want is a fire under your dash. It's happened to me a couple times, and it can really do a whole lot of damage under here. So take all that stuff out. Just get rid of it, because it'll, like I said, it'll start a fire. And keep a bottle of water handy, and also your garden hose, and probably a good fire extinguisher. And here it is, all finished. Got the cowl, the outer cowl panel welded back on, and it is sturdy. It is on there for good, hopefully, or at least it'll be on there longer than I'm gonna own this truck. But that's it. The welding on the driver's side of this truck is finished. The rust is repaired, and all that's left is put some body filler on there, just a little bit here and there to cover up some stuff, and otherwise it's finished. Oh, here's when I mentioned that factory heat and sound deadener. Here's a piece that I actually pulled out, and you can see up here at the top where it started to burn, and that was from tack welding on the firewall. And I made a mental note to come in here and rip this stuff out before I started welding, but I forgot and got started and put one rosette weld in there, and then I remembered. So you can see this stuff it doesn't just flame up, it sort of smolders, which is worse, because then it's just going to smolder and eventually set the whole thing on fire. It'll get the plastic will melt, and so get rid of this stuff. Have a bottle of water handy. This is an old bottle of Clorox. I just have plain old water in there. And when you're done with this stuff, when you're done welding, always hang out for just a little bit and do what I call fire watch. If anybody was in the military, then they're quite familiar with what fire watch is. But it's just to be on the safe side. You don't want this thing burning up on you. It basically just destroys all your work, all the money, all the time that you invested into your project. So just hang out for half an hour or an hour, come out and check on it, make sure nothing's smoldering after you finish your welding. And here we are, all finished. I got the fender mounted back on, I got the inner fender well bolted back up, I got the door back on, and I'm not going to put the hood on because I got to take the fender off the other side and the passenger side door because I got rust to fix over there too. And I'm going to get started on that here in just a little while. You can see here I got some primer paint on some of my surfaces. I need to do a little bit more in here, but I got to clean the floor first before I put any primer down on that. I'm not going to do any body work right now. I'm just going to leave it in primer and worry about doing body work later. I got other things I need to do to this truck. I want it to pass in state inspection here in Texas because I'd like to just be able to drive it and work on it at the same time. So I'm not going to do body work right now. But that's it. We got all the rust and rot repaired on the old 77 C10, and we'll get going on the passenger side. And I'll take some videos of doing that as well. Hopefully it goes a little bit faster, and use some of what I learned doing the driver's side. And I'll show you real quick some of the rust I'm dealing with over here. It's not as bad. I got my dog barking at me again. That's the worst of it right there. And you can see it extends just like on the driver's side. So, but fortunately, the floor pans aren't as rusted, and I'm not going to have the same problems. Floor solid there. That's where I had problems on the driver's side. Same in this area, so I'm not going to replace, even though I got the full panel, I'm just going to cut them short. But that's it. I'll take some more videos as soon as I get started working here on the passenger side.